So, I want to talk today about 5 ideas that can help you think about the stories you tell yourself, maybe loops that you've been going through. And it's coming from a place of some realizations with me. In 2026, I've changed a lot, and a lot's changing in the world as well. A lot of stories are happening in the world. There's all these battles for our attention and ideas and outrage and beautiful things and uh, spiritual things, year of the horse, all this kind of stuff. So, like there's all sorts of things out there depending on what you tune into. But what I've started tuning into more is about the stories that I tell myself and ultimately trying to better myself and have more of an impact with how I view not only where I am and where I'm going, but where I am presently. And where I'm presently, I found that a lot of the times was always some kind of comparison to a idea of myself in the past based on, and if I'm honest, maybe some fear of where I'm going in the future or uncertainty, which we all have. And then I started saying, well, if this is truly a fear, how would I change the way I would say that to myself to turn into something at least positive in the immediate, especially when things get a little bit repetitive or on loop? Those same kind of ideas that are fearful come up. And I said to myself, the only reason I have these fears is because obviously my life's changing as life changes, and because I want it to change in a certain way, and because I want that and that strive for that, I can reshape it as something that's meaningful. So then I started looking into the idea of changing the meaning behind things in my past, things that I used to hold on to. And without going too much into myself, I did some research and I pulled up the 5 main topics on what other psychologists and people who've done research, and I'll provide all of the references, scientific articles and references in the links below. But I've just kind of focused on 5 points here. And so, changing the meaning of an event in your life can change the emotional impact of it. And so that's the core idea behind something called cognitive reappraisal. So you don't erase the event, which I guess I've been trying to do a lot in the past, especially when changing into a new version of me. It's 2026, I'm a new man. So I want to change my past. I want to erase certain things about my past because I'm not that anymore, and quickly found out that, that's not really working out that well for me. And I did some more research into it and tried to reinterpret that. So, erasing an event or even the event of your life, if your entire life story is one traumatic event, is just up for reinterpretation of what that means. That's what cognitive reappraisal is. And so, a meta analysis of 48 neuroimaging studies found on reappraisal, that's, I guess, looking at the brain in different ways, consistently engaged with cognitive control regions and modulated the amygdala. So, I guess what that's saying, and I'm reading from some research that I've done here, is that there's multiple parts of your brain that are activated even when you have some kind of cognitive awareness or reliving of a memory or a thought. And a lab study found that reappraisal produced larger decreases in negative emotion and larger increases in positive emotion than acceptance in the short term. Then just accepting, you know what, I should just accept myself. I should accept myself. And not only that, everyone should accept myself because something really bad happened to me. I mean, we all go through trauma in life, right? And I've been trying to dig up meaning about what you do with that. Like, what do I do with it? Do I put it into music? I've tried that. Do I do this? Do I, you know, um, besides all of the external things that I can do with it, the biggest thing that I found that's been working for me lately is reimagining those stories, not to relive them, but to change the meaning of them for something that's more positive, that can add meaning rather than take away from the human that I am and make my life meaningless, and say to myself, what hurt me was real, but the meaning I kept attaching to it was making me relive it. So that's the first idea. And, that's pretty cool. It's pretty powerful stuff. Cognitive reappraisal. Um, the second thing is distance, and it's not distance through avoiding, it's distancing yourself personally from something rather than putting yourself in there with such emotional impact that will make you drown in a story and uh, even what might appear to others as you just taking pleasure in your own self-pity, emotional self-pity, forcing others to feel what you feel because you need to be understood, because you're so connected to some part of a story, or maybe multiple stories, maybe years, maybe your entire life, who knows, whatever, maybe um, a really big traumatic event, something like that. So it's distance. And when people reflect from a more distant perspective, they often process painful events more adaptively. So they can kind of see the positivity in them and adapt, because if anything, that's the best thing about having any difficult experience. It actually helps you grow. In one study on everyday negative experiences, self-distancing increased psychological distance with medium effect size, and positive reappraisal, what I was talking about before, increased the positive effect while reducing the negative effect. And it's just basically saying your brain has this amazing way of running the same loops through the same neural pathways. And if we start telling ourselves different stories in a glass half full rather than empty, in a this part of my life empowered me, it gave me the ability to speak, it gave me the ability to say, hey, you know what, I didn't die, or whatever it was, no matter what that is. Well, when we visit it from a distance, especially with this intention of wanting to find something good, research on harm narratives suggests that stories containing exploration like this about growth and resolution are way more regulating than stories that are stuck in damage alone, which is part of the reason why I really believe you can be your own psychologist. I mean, you always have people you can go talk to about things that have happened, but sometimes all you do is relive and constantly talk and, you know, um, accept yourself. Maybe it's difficult or whatever, but you don't actually do anything consciously because, you know, whatever. I'm not going to go into the becauses here. I'm just giving some solutions, 5 solutions as to what's been helping me personally change my ideas. And so I stopped asking only, why did this happen to me? Why was so and so like this to me? Why did I experience that? Why me? And I started asking, what can I see that I couldn't see then? What, through reliving this from a distance without some kind of emotional downpour, what can I dig in between the cracks and find as positive? And through that intention alone, you start rewiring your mindset to positivity, and you start taking action that's not repeating the wound. And that's the third part or point to this. So there's 5. So stick with me. This is number 3. Repeating the wound is not the same as healing it. So this part's really important. Science does not really support the idea that simply venting or repeating, writing out painful experiences, acknowledging them, automatically leads to better long-term health. So again, this is all backed up by research. A meta-analysis of 30 randomized trials found expressive writing by itself had minor or no significant long-term health effects. So the shifts not only just tell the story again, but restructure the story is what really helps. So you have to, this is the work. You have to restructure that, and you have to be conscious about it. You have to say, hey, you know what? I can do this and no one else can do this. And maybe my story has been comforting and has held me back from other things which keep reinforcing this story. And I see it all the time, and I see it within myself, and I'm speaking from personal experience here, which is why it's meaningful to me. There's a difference between expressing pain and building an identity around pain, and then through that doing something with pain. So again, point number 3: repeating the wound is not the same as healing it. We've all got places where we can go and vent and look at Facebook. All I'm saying is take it a little bit more than just looking for some kind of comfort and relief. And this is point number 4: self-compassion stronger than self-judgment. So again, self-compassion is not self-pity. A meta-analysis of 79 samples with about 17,000 participants, self-compassion showed a moderative positive relationship with well-being. And another meta-analysis found that a large inverse relationship with psychopathology. Hold on. Another meta analysis found a large inverse relationship with psychopathology. So I guess just um, uh, judging it analytically. And on top of that, 56 randomized control trials found that self-compassion interventions had small to medium effects on reducing depression, anxiety, and stress. So what that means is go easy on yourself and not self-pity yourself and be harsh and judge yourself and wallow in it and look for pity, because pity is not the same as self-compassion. Self-compassion is trying to find that positivity. If you cared about somebody and you just sat there and you said, well, you know what? Like, you must be shit because of that thing. Or you said to them, hey, I'm sure you can find something good in that thing, but I'm not going to deal with going through that mess for you. That's your job. That's the difference in self-compassion. And you can be compassionate to yourself again by reframing your mind, saying things to yourself like, I got further when I stopped attacking myself, calling myself, I don't know, a loser, putting myself down, saying I was hurt, I was affected by what happened. And I actually started taking care of myself. And taking care of myself isn't attacking myself and reliving those stories and looking for little, you know, compliments or whatever it is, instead of actually changing it. And the last point here is that real growth comes from agency and integration and not denial. So it's not about sitting there going, nothing happened, la la la, I'm perfect. It's you know, it's about reframing that story again, which is why that was on top of the list. So I'll go through that again. But Australian data shows that a more internal local uh, locus, I don't know what that word is, internal locus of control is linked with better life satisfaction. Maybe that's focus of control, is linked with better life satisfaction and mental health and associated with higher self control. At the same time, post traumatic growth research argues that positive change can follow adversity, but not because trauma is good for you. It is the struggle, reflection, and integration afterwards that can create real growth. Okay, I know what they're saying here. Basically, pressure creates diamonds. Embrace your story. Don't be in denial of your story. The real growth comes from agency and integration, not denial. That was the point before I started reading some data. Um, and again, I've got all these points to back up by some research that I've done. And just to give an ending quote with that diamond becoming a diamond from pressure analogy, here's another quote. So, my past explains part of me, but it does not get to author all of me. So, I'm guessing, you know, taking control, you get to author you, not your past, which is an idea, not the people from your past, not whatever happened, and not about avoiding your past or saying that it didn't happen, but reframing that. So yeah, that's basically what I've been thinking about about how I can change the meaning of something, and since I'm on this path, express it outwards as well, because this has been some of the real impacting ideas that have helped me to grow. And again, it's not about perfection, it's about being authentic with yourself. It's about taking ownership, not being a coward, not being in denial. It's about finding the quality from the flaws and not distancing yourself and drowning in your same old stories and, whatever you do to self comfort, and having compassion. Because, going out and drinking 2 bottles of wine, it might seem like, some self compassion there, but we all know it's really not. It's coming from a different place. So anyway, it's my rant, and catch me on the next one.